Welcome to the Dice Gods. My name is Hydra, and today we are taking a look at this, the brand new Battle of the Bulge 2-player starter set for Bolt Action 3rd edition. If you've missed it, we have recently decided to get involved with Bolt Action after a really interesting discussion with Marcus from the Warlord Games team. He spent over an hour evangelizing the system to me to the point where, you know what? Fine, I know when I'm beaten, and it was time to dive into the system. So, with the new edition dropping, this is 3rd edition, it's the ideal time really to get involved. Now, full disclosure, I've never played Bolt Action before, so the content and the bits and pieces we're going to be producing over the coming period are going to be very much from that perspective. I'm new. There are 3 other players in the local area who are joining me on this grand adventure. Well, they're all new too. So we're probably going to make some stupid mistakes. We're probably going to get some things wrong. And it's going to be hella exciting. Now, in addition to that, there is one other thing that you need to know. I am, when it comes to historical games, what you might call a filthy casual. Now, that means that the history of it interests me. And it interests me from that's context for what we're playing perspective. I'm not a great one for really caring or being specifically invested in massive amounts of historical accuracy. It's just not my jam. That's not what I play war games for. That doesn't mean to say that we won't be potentially sort of already conversations about doing the battle around Arnhem, being based in the Netherlands. That's obviously something that would be quite cool and interesting, and potentially some of the other cities and stuff around here. There are conversations. This is something that may happen, but I myself am more of a war gamer than a historical gamer, so that's something to definitely be aware of. If you're very much historically focused, we don't play the same way, which is fine. I have no issue with historical players. I'm in awe of them, the detail, the attention, the time they put in. That's cool. That's just not me. So, with all of that context and preamble out the way, let's get into this fantastic little box. That's a spoiler. It's a fantastic little box. But is it little? Not freaking really. So let's crack the top and get into this. Oop. New box. Love it. So, when you pop the top off this bad boy, first thing that we see is the mighty dice bag of power. If you are new to Bolt Action, this is a random activation system, so every unit that you have generates an order dice, which goes in the bag of power. And then, during the turn, a dice is drawn, and depending on which dice comes out, the player that owns it can then activate a unit. So that does mean that you can find yourself in a situation where you get 3 units that activate in a go, one after the other, while the opponent stands there and watches. Alternatively, it can be your bad luck, and you can have to wait for a period of time before your guys go. It's a very interesting mechanic, something that's been with the system, I think, since its inception. And it's kind of cool. We like it very much. So that is the bag of power. Very important. Good that it's in the box. Then we have the Battle of the Bulge book. Now, this guy has some history, some context for what was going on and where we were. We then move on to assembling the forces. Now, as you'll see when we get to the sprues, these sprues are absolutely packed. These are plastic multi-part kits, and you have so many options. There are, in this box, 24 US paratroopers, I want to say. I think they're paratroopers. I don't know, I don't play American. So 24 Americans in winter gear. Across 4 sprues. So you get 4 of these sprues with all of these weapons on to build as you see fit. As a new player, that is incredibly daunting, but don't be scared yet. We'll come back to that one in a minute. There we go. It talks you through what you can have and how it works and some ideas of how they go together and all this kind of good stuff. So this is really, really useful. We then have exactly the same for the German Fallschirmjäger, German paratroopers, which is where my interest lies. So again, absolutely rammed sprues. We have STG-44s, we have Kar-98Ks, MG-42s. There's all the good stuff. Panzerfaust. We've got all the good stuff on here. And how you put them together is entirely up to you. Interestingly, while there are 24 Americans, there are only 18 Germans. We are a little bit outnumbered, especially because the Americans, as you see here, also get the M8 Greyhound, or it can be made as the M20, depending on what you want. So there's options there, but probably the M8 if you've got if you want a chance up against the Fallschirmjägers of power here. And then we flip the page. We have some suggested forces and some examples scenarios. So it actually tells you how to put these together. Let's see whether the camera is going to play nicely with this one. You going to play? A little bit. So we have a platoon commander, regular, 3 men, all with SMGs. An infantry squad, regular, 10 men, 2 BARs and 1 SMG, etc., etc. So it tells you exactly how to put it together. And the same for the Fallschirmjäger. So even though there are a lot of different options on these sprues, the book for the newbie is sat here going, don't worry, it's fine, you're going to be great. And as you can see, 382 points, 385 points in those recommended configurations. Now the game is currently tested to be played at 1,250, so we have baby forces here. But that is probably a good thing when learning a new game, to have baby forces. I don't see that as a problem whatsoever. We then, in this starter book even, have some scenarios to play through. All the different information you need, some artwork because pretty, and then on to painting the models where the decals go for the American M8, and then how it's going to look to put it together. Although most of the time when I'm going to see this, it's going to be on fire and in bits. So I'm keeping the German part of this. My good friend Gitsnick is going to be taking the American part. So if you hear some American bashing that goes on, it's not towards the Americans, it's towards Gitsnick. I just want him to know what the future is going to hold, and it's going to be violence. So we have this cheat sheet on the back, the play sheet on the back, which is general guides to making the game work. So we don't worry about this one too much yet, but it's good that it is here. Again, a bigger version of the play sheet, all nice and pretty, covering all of the plastic in the known universe. Brace yourself. We're going in. First things first, we have the ruined, pull this out of the way actually, so it's a little bit clearer. We have the ruined building. So there is some terrain in this box that you get. Now, I am in the process of building my first table for bolt action, and we're actually going to be basing ourselves on the Micro Art Studio pre-painted terrain, because it's gorgeous. So you can expect reviews of this stuff coming later, because this stuff is just brilliant. I mean, that's just a chicken coop, but even that is, yeah, anyway, more on that later. So we have a destroyed building. Then we have a soon-to-be destroyed Greyhound. Very nice. And then we have the unit card for the M20 or the M8. So double-sided. And all the decals, so they're on the box. Now my favourite bit, for when it goes boom, is the damage markers for, some of the damage markers for the vehicle. So those are going to Gitsnick. He's going to need those. Then we have dice. Now I mentioned the order dice, so we have 3 German ones here and we have 5 American. And then we have some D6s so we can actually work out what happens. So these are the ones that go into that black bag, and then you rustle them around and you draw a random one out, and then that one activates. So as you can see, the Fallschirmjäger are at a numeric disadvantage to dice, but the way that the game works is the quality of the troops defines how they perform in battle and how easily they're wounded and stuff like that, and how likely they are to run away or how likely they are to follow orders and all this kind of stuff. I'm absorbing all of the bolt action videos and content at the moment. So the Fallschirmjäger are veterans, so they're the very best of the best, the ultimate elite, whereas from memory, the bulk of the Americans are actually just regular. So the Germans have a quality advantage, whereas the Americans have a quantity advantage. Let's get into some sprues. So first things first, what do we have here? We have some Americans. So here is an incredibly full sprue of American stuff. You're going to focus for me. So as you can see, we have there 16 different faces. We then have snipers, we have Garans, we have we have the grease gun, as it was called, Tommy gun, a bazooka. There's the BAR, the mighty BAR, as well, and all the different options for your boss man. So we have cigars, maps, binoculars, a mortar, or is that a rifle grenade? I can never tell. I'm such a newbie when it comes to the allies. I love the fact that we have guys in here with cigars in their mouths and heads. Phenomenal little set. So we have 1, 2, 3. By the looks of things, 4. Yep, 4 American sprues. And then we have the important stuff, the Germans. So these are the Fallschirmjäger. So on here, STG-44s, standard rifles, the SMGs, Panzerfausts, smashing somebody in the head with an entrenching tool, because such things are important. But again, a load of faces up here, and then a load of faces over here. And a flare gun, because, you know, fancy. Also have LMGs, as they are in game. I think it's MG44 there. So the big stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, again, different poses, different heads, and by the looks of things, we've got loaders for the LMGs. Oh, look, Bren gun, stolen weapons from the Brits there. That's nice. That's going on somebody. Oh, and a Soviet PPG, I want to say that is. Can never remember again. Again, allies. So, lots of different poses and positions for these guys. These have a sniper as well. I have a weapon with a sniper rifle, a sniper scope on it. Anyway, so there we have Fallschirmjäger 1, 2, and 3. That's all those good guys. Then we get to the pin markers. Now these guys are essential. So when you guys get shot or things go wrong, they can start accruing pins, and pins impact their ability to operate effectively on the field. So these markers go next to a unit. They actually have numbers on them, so you can count how many pins they've got on them. And as you can see, these go up to 12. Let's go up to 12. So things can go horrifically wrong, and you can track them with these bad boys. I remember using those for Gate Cemeteries, and they take a bit of getting used to, but actually incredibly useful. Then we have templates for explosions. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4. That's clever. That is clever. And then markers for statuses by the looks of things here. So like, I think this is turret disabled for a tank or for a vehicle. I guess immobilized. Yeah, all kinds of status markers. You can put those down on the board and keep up with what's going on. Then we have, of course, bases. All of the bases, because your troops need to go on stuff. These have lips, so when you want to put your basing material on there, they can go on. Now, in full disclosure, I've already started building that German Heer winter army, so they all go together, and I've built out from the Fallschirmjäger. So the Fallschirmjäger that's in here will still appear in my core army, but then I'm going to build onto it with winter Heer, so they all look the same, they're all in great coats and all this kind of stuff. What I'm doing is I'm building them, putting them onto these bases, and then I'm going to put the basing material around it when they're painted. It seems to be the standard way that a lot of the incredibly stunning painters that work in bolt action seem to do it. So who am I to argue with artistic genius? Then we come up to the big book of words. So there's been some discussion about this, and I have opinions, so we're going to talk about that. Show. Goodness me. You love it when you can't get it out of the bag. So here is our big book of words. But as you can see, it's a small big book of words. This is actually a reduced sized one. 320 pages, so it is all of the rules, but in a small, convenient, bug-killing size. I mean, this is going to do somebody some serious damage. Now, some people have said that the font size in this is a bit of a problem for them. Speaking for myself, I don't have that. I have no issue reading any of the text in here. Maybe if you do have eyesight problems, this may be a concern. But it isn't for me. I've seen this book. I find it absolutely fine to read. I have no issues with it. But just be aware that if you do have issues with eyesight, you do have small issues with small text, or issues with any type of colours, because this is on a grey background, small text on a grey background, this might not be the version for you, because there are two versions of this book. There is this version that comes in the 2-player starter, and then there is the full release version. Same content, different scale. I'll get the scale of the second one in a minute. So, and yes, there is a fault in here. There are some mistakes in this book, and it is cute, because that is not a stug. That's a stug. That's not a stug. But hey, I've been there. I've done the proofreading. It can be a pain. Now, this book not only contains the rules, it also contains the vanilla factions and how to put them together for, including some suggested factions. Some suggested armies, sorry, for the main factions in the book. So you've got your army list in here for Germany, for Britain, for America, and for the Soviets. These are not full army lists. These will let you get playing and they will let you use most of the stuff, but they are not everything. Over the next year, we're getting armies of books released, which will contain full armies for all of the different factions, but for the time being, we have basic core stuff so that we can get going and we can start throwing stuff, even down to cavalry there. Some cavalry squads. Yeah, flamethrowers, which are less ubiquitous, or should be less ubiquitous in this version of the game, but we will see. So it's quite interesting. I was reading that in version 2 you got a different entry for different armored cars, whereas now you get light armored car and you can upgrade that to be the different types of armored car. Rather than having 10 different types, you end up with one that you can upgrade. So if we remove the open top, it becomes a BA-64B. So this is for the Soviets, light armored car. So it's BA-64 normally. You upgrade it to not be open-topped, it becomes a BA-64B with plus 10 points, and you remove the open-top and upgrade the turret to an HMG, and it becomes a BA-64D SHK. So that is much cleaner, in my opinion, way of doing army lists. If they used to be separate entries, no thank you. But it's going to take some learning. We also have all the army special rules in here as well, because every army has its own special rules and abilities. There we go. So there's the Japanese, because they're in here too. And then we get transport information, all kinds of stuff. There's missions in here too, fortifications. I think there's missions in here. I say that, and then I'm like, are there? Yes, there are. Yes, there are. So you've got everything that you need to play in here, including army lists, but it is small. For context, that's the baby version that comes in the 2-player set. This is the grown-up adult version that you can buy separately. Now you can buy these as a bundle, and I would say that if you're doing like Get Stick and myself, you're going to split this with somebody. Then doing this bundle set is probably a good call. You also get a limited edition miniature as well. Unfortunately, he's American, so anyway, can't have everything. But it's probably worth getting both while you can, so that you can split the rulebook. And then if somebody does have issues with eyesight, this is much bigger, much heavier as well. Hardback book, so you can see straight away the font size is much bigger. So if you do have issues with eyesight, this guy is probably the way to go. It does still have the same grey background. For me, there are no issues, but your mileage may well vary on that. Now, the thing that impresses me the most about all of this is take this book out of the equation for a second. Everything else that you see here comes in at €112. So for the book, dice, all of the miniatures, including the vehicle and the markers and all that jazz, all of this stuff is €112. As a buy-in for a game, I don't think that's bad at all. Yes, you're sub 400 points in a 1,250 point game, but you have to take into context here that learning a game, it's always possible to go overboard and buy too much and end up with too many things and too many options and all the rest of it. If you buy this box, you build it the way it suggests that you build it, you will be able to learn and get to grips with bolt action really, really easily in an incredibly manageable way. The actual games that are in here, or the missions that are in here, are on a 6x4 board. Sorry, a 4x4 board, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're on 4x4 boards. So yeah, 4 foot by 4 foot. Now the full game is played on 6x4, so this is designed to be cut down, reduced size, to get you into the game, to get used to the mechanics and all the rest of it. Phenomenal. This is the way that starter sets should be done. And for that price point, I don't think, in my opinion, if you're a new player, you can really argue with that. You get started, you get into the game, you get all the good stuff, away we go. Fantastic. So good job, Warlord Games. Is the game fun? Is it enjoyable? Is it easy to learn? Those are the next questions. So over the coming weeks, I'm going to be building this setup, passing off the Yankees out of my property so they can go to Gitsnick and he can get to work with his. And then we're going to be back with a review of the game, a learning the game, and some battle reports as well. So there's going to be some reviews of the micro art terrain as well and all this kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of good stuff coming up for Bolt Action. If you are a Bolt Action player, you are enjoying it, if you're just getting into it, if you're a veteran, whatever, we'd love your input. We'd love to hear what you would like to see from a YouTube channel like us doing Bolt Action. So please let us know in the comments below. If you really want to help out and you really want some input, then please become a member to the channel, because then you can help us decide what we're going to do, actually get a say in it, vote, or this kind of thing. It's going to be great, as well as see more updates about what we're doing and all this kind of stuff. You know, we've done how to play for games before. Would you like to see a Dice Gods does how to play Bolt Action? Is that something that you guys would like to see? Let us know in the comments below. And as I say, do consider becoming a member or a Patreon, because that would be greatly appreciated. Great time to say thank you to the Patreons and members, especially the Mighty Joe Rogers, for supporting the channel so far. This literally wouldn't be achievable without you guys. Your support has made this possible, and we really appreciate it. So thank you so very much. But for now, please like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Tell your mum, tell your dog, especially if they are vaguely interested in World War II, because they will probably want to know about this system. And thank you for watching, and we will see you again soon.